Slow climb. It's all right. Yeah.
Are you mad today or what?
Welcome to the Tuesday, August 8th, regular City Commission meeting. If you would, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have a call for attendance, please?
Commissioner Pruitt?
Here.
Commissioner Quick?
Here.
Commissioner Vowell is absent. Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Mayor State?
Here. First up on the agenda, if I could ask Dylan Ward to come up to the podium. We have a presentation on school bus routes.
He did have a map. I don't know. Let me see if it's. Good afternoon, everybody. With me, I have Crystal, who is our HART superintendent, and so she's up here to support because really she's the brains behind the operation. But as you all know, there's been a lot of conversations over the past couple days and even months, if not years, as far as labor. We've had issues filling certain positions at the city, and bus drivers are no different. And as you all are aware, there's been an issue that the school board has faced as well. And so in the last few days, it's actually been a really great exercise of community collaboration. We've worked with the county, we've worked with Henderson County Schools, and ultimately we've worked together to figure out how to kind of not necessarily solve this issue, but how we can work together to maybe make it less of an issue. And so I just want to say that up front and say it's been great working with all those parties, and I think we've come up with something that's really going to help. And so what you see in front of you is a map. And so the area, it might be a little hard to see on that screen, but there's basically two shaded areas. There's an orange area and then a blue area. And so over the past few years, it's been our understanding that Henderson County Schools has slowly expanded their walk-only zone. So roughly the area in orange, that's been a walk-only zone for about, since 2012. And so most recently they announced that the area in blue was going to be expanded, which is about 3 city blocks for the upcoming school year. So to help address this driver shortage in that area for that recent area in blue that's been added, we have decided, we've talked internally, and we're going to implement a new route that's going to serve that area, which will be able to help transport students to South Heights Elementary. And so we have 2 city buses that we're going to commit to that between 6:30 a.m. and 7 o'clock a.m. It's our hope that they'll be able to make 2 cycles, so that would give us 4 bus schools. Each one of those buses carries about 18 students. And so in talking with the schools, we're partnering to see how we can improve retention, also increase recruitment, and hopefully for both parties this was going to be a temporary solution. We've talked about doing this at least through fall break or at least until the situation improves. The problem right now with bus drivers in particular is there's been some recent changes to CDL requirements, training processes, and right now if you hire someone without a CDL, it takes about 3 months at least, probably from start to finish, to have that to be able to get on the road and actually be helpful. So I do want to say a big thanks to Crystal and her team. They've been instrumental in making this work. Just so that you all know our current situation, we have currently 15 authorized positions in HART. Of those, we only have 10 filled. We had 2 people retire on the same day last Friday, not this past Friday, but a week ago this Friday. And so we are very lean already. So I'm very pleased that even with that, we're still able to offer some assistance and do whatever we can to work with the school to help. And I do want to commend Crystal specifically. She does a great job with her department, and she has personally volunteered to run one of the 2 buses Monday through Friday from 6:30 to 7. So she's gonna be there to greet the kids. And you used to work for the school system many years ago, so she'll be happy to see some of the kiddos again. But with that, I do want to just add the caveat that it is going to be a little bit of a learning curve the first few days, so it probably won't be perfect, but we've already talked through some of the different scenarios and have talked with the school system, and so we think we're prepared to address whatever may come our way. But that's basically what we're looking at. And if y'all have any questions, or if the school system would, Dr. Lawson, if you have anything you'd like to add.
Actually, Dr. Lawson, if I could ask you a question, if you wouldn't mind to come up, please.
Sure.
Sorry, to throw you on the
And
spot.
thank you for joining us. So this is Dr. Bob Lawson. He's the superintendent of schools. And Dylan did a wonderful job talking about how the city is going to help in the morning, creating 2 bus stops, basically, where we're going to pick up kids and continue to bus them. Bob, would you mind to tell us a little bit about what the county is doing to help the school system out?
Yes, sir. So just to the commission, I'm so happy to be here and so much appreciate the leadership of the mayor and Mr. Newman reaching out to find a solution here and help us in this time of need in terms of ownership of our whole community and students. I think that what the work that's happened among your team, it just shows the ownership and collaboration that we want in Henderson and what we try to be the best at, and just really want to recognize your leadership and service of this whole group. And also in partnership with the county and Judge Executive Snyder, they are going to partner with us, and they will have one of their drivers that will drive our afternoon route, our evening route. So it's a fantastic partnership between the schools and the city in terms of being able to get students to school in the morning to school, and then in the afternoon, our partners at the County Road Department and Judge Snyder are going to provide a driver for the afternoon route, and we'll use our buses for that.
I wanted to start by saying that whenever someone in our community is hurting, and the school system is hurting for school bus drivers, and I know that it had to be a very tough decision when it came down to it on how to accommodate for your lower levels of staffing at the school bus, and I sympathize with what you're going through, having to make those difficult decisions. But whenever we recognize that you're hurting, I think we should be a city who's willing to step up and try to do what we can to make it better when we can. You know, we can't always do that. I'm really super excited about what the county has stepped up and done as well, and I look forward to working with you all in the future. Dylan had mentioned something earlier about possibly working together to look at or collaborate on having maybe an outside firm come in and take a look at our efficiencies for our bus routes for the school and for the city, and also to dissect the jobs itself and how to make the jobs better and more attractive to people, things like that. I wanted to say that if you would like to move forward in that direction, I know the city would love to partner with you on that. That's something that we've talked about for a while here about doing, and so I think that'd be a wonderful next step. I don't know what that looks like, but I did want to offer us up to where if in August or September, if you wanted to get the school board together with the city commission for maybe a joint work session so that we can talk about together what that looks like and how we can both participate in the funding of such a project, then we would be more than willing to sit down with you and come up with a long-term solution to this problem rather than just give a short-term solution.
Mary, we'd appreciate that. I can't speak for our board before we meet, but I think your idea of a joint work session, again, would be exemplary, and it'd be a great example for our community in terms of how we can work together. And in fact, I think I heard him say that even in your department, you're lean and maybe even short some drivers. And likewise are we. And so to study those efficiencies, to partner as a city and a county and a school system, sincerely appreciate the leadership of this commission and our mayor.
Thank
And
you.
our city manager.
And the city commission as well. Do you all have any questions or comments for Bob or Dylan or
Dr. Lawson,
Crystal?
another question. So how many, I guess for the school routes to be where you all would want it to be, how many bus drivers do you need and how many are you short right now?
We're roughly about 15 bus drivers short. And so with this move, with this expansion, like I said, we have the walker areas, which we've used in terms of our city schools primarily. This same thing happens at Jefferson, at Bengate, and this year, we'd always transported this spot at this zone from South Heights, but we just simply didn't have enough people to do it and get everyone to school and those kinds of things. So in order to be completely fully staffed, we're about, at this point, 15 bus drivers short, but we're exploring every possibility, as the mayor said. We're gonna, and I'm so excited to think about we could partner and bring in some firms and study the efficiency of the routes and folks who, who do that primarily as their business, that maybe right now we're at 15, but maybe we could learn, some efficiencies from a study like that may reduce that number.
Sure.
Dr.
Thank you.
Lawson, I gave you one girl's name. She told me she does already. She's ready to go. She's got her CDL, Jade Skinner. So that gets us down to 14. But how many drivers, you said you're 14 short. All 14 is in that little area right there, is that what you're telling me?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. We have been short for a long time. And then, so last year, we were barely able to piece it together to be able to transport that area. And so, in fact, South Heights, this area really had been the exception. And all of our city schools, the 1 mile radius, we were walking and having parents transporting in. But we had made an exception for this area in terms of, like, we had similar concerns to some of those you may have heard voiced. And we've always tried to make them the exception and transport those students. But this year, we actually have less bus drivers than we had last year. And in terms of like getting out that notification, we worked all summer trying to figure out a different way and to be able to still transport these students. And we just couldn't find a way to do it. And so on July 31st, our parents received a letter and gave them 10 days, which I want to apologize for. That really isn't a long enough notice for them, but we hoped for those 10 days they could make, reservations and talk to family, those kinds of things. And I'd just like for our city to know, all our parents to know too, that is absolutely last resort, that we tried to work so long to not make that happen, to not have that happen. And then really we had made an exception for this area. What seems like that we maybe this year didn't get to that. We had always tried to staff it, but we lost more drivers. And so this year we had to make that move. But with the help of the city and this great commission, we have a temporary solution. And just as the mayor said, it's not without, probably gonna have some wrinkles to iron out. And we'll all have to work together through that. But the solutions-oriented, collaborative nature of this town and our leadership is simply, in my belief, the way we're going to get it done. We're better together.
Amen.
Are these routes going to be ready to go tomorrow morning, first day of school?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There will be.
Awesome.
I just wanted to say one other piece of this. I think ideally, we could say everybody who lives within a mile, feel free to walk to school, and that'd be great exercise for kids to get and whatnot. But are our streets and our sidewalks safe enough for them to do that, and us not worry a whole lot about it? And that's something we as a city, I think, can focus on more. Looking at these areas that are within a mile of the school system and saying, can we create the pathways that if we run into this issue again, we can feel a little bit more prepared to say, there's a good, safe way for you to walk to school here.
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Even some of the language you'll hear with the mile, we still haven't asked students to cross roads like 60 or sand lane, so to speak. So there are some exceptions in that sometimes make those principles seem out of line. But those are the safety reasons you're talking about. And thank you, Mr. Valles. I think that'd be a fantastic idea to see how we can all work together and make that more safe.
Good deal. Anybody else have any other questions or comments?
I commend you guys on finding a solution. I'll be temporary, but hopefully we'll find something in the future.
Thank you, sir.
And I do think our work session, the sooner the better. That way we can know the numbers, if we have to increase pay for bus drivers and what will it take. To be down 15 bus drivers, that's a lot. That's a lot of bus drivers.
It is. It's also something that is extremely common, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For areas, Evansville has the
Evansville's
same
short,
problem.
too.
Yeah, it's the same thing we ran into a couple of years ago with our pool and not having enough lifeguards, basically, right? Desperate times call for desperate measures, and we made some significant changes. But it's been a pleasure working with you on this particular issue. I want to really commend Buzzy Newman, our city manager, and Dylan Ward, our project manager, and Crystal as well, for all three of them working with the school system directly on arriving at hopefully a temporary solution that can lead to something better in the future. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all.
All right. Next up, we have a presentation for Tammy Willett, who's been with us for 25 years. I can't believe it's been 25 years. But she's been with us for 25 years.
Tammy Willett. Tammy served the city of Henderson as a community development specialist on August 1st, 1998. Her position as the community development specialist requires her to be up to date on ever-changing federal requirements, along with knowledge of uniform relocation, urban renewal, labor compliance, civil rights, all report requirements and submissions, along with fair housing compliance, environmental review, rehabilitation requirements, Fair Credit Act, home buyer counseling, and lead-based paint issues. During her 25 years with the city, Tammy has overseen the construction of multiple new homes through CDBG and home grant funding. She has directed Kentucky Changers, World Changers, and other private developers in home rehabilitation projects, all of which have changed the landscape of our community and have added millions back to the tax base over her 25 years. The city appreciates Tammy's dedication, loyalty, and service, and we are happy to have her with us today to thank her for all of her hard work and dedication to the city with the presentation of this 25-year service award bid.
Tammy, if people knew half of what you did for the city with our CDBG and with World Changers and a number of other things that you touched directly that have such a huge impact on our community, I think they would just be overjoyed with enthusiasm about you. And the fact that you've been with us for 25 years doing that, it really means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the rest of the city. Thank you for being with us for 25 years. We certainly appreciate your service. And if you'd like to address the commission, you are welcome to, and here is your pen. You are very welcome.
I want to thank the mayor, city manager, city attorney, all the commissioners. I've been through several commissioners, of course, through the years, but it's the people that keep me doing what I'm doing. I'm humble with all of them. Some of them, even from 25 years ago, still call me today. And so just as long as you know that affordable housing is such a dire need, we have people every day. I mean, I'm dealing with the homelessness crisis right now. I'm dealing with people that are being evicted. I'm dealing with people that can't find rental housing. I'm dealing with a number of issues, not only compliance and reports and everything else that comes along with this, but I just want you to know how important it is that community development block grant funds are able to help the city and, you know, with our infrastructure, our streets, our roads, the police, the Father Bradley Shelter for Women and Children. So thank all of you, and it's been a good journey for 25 years. I just hope the next 25 doesn't go as fast.
Tammy, before you leave, I want to say this to you. A lot of times people work jobs and after 25 years they look back and say, I hope I made an impact. Well, you don't have to hope. You know, when we look around Henderson, I know, and a lot of other people know the impact that you made, especially with the World Changer group. You have touched a lot of senior citizens who couldn't get work done, and when they look at their home to get a porch put back on their home, and I say, hey, the World Changers, they say, yeah, Tammy did this, and they're just so proud. So I just want to say, your 25 is not in vain. You've done a great job.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, we have a consent agenda.
The consent agenda consists of the July 25th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions, suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Whitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Bowles,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor State.
Aye. Next up, we have the first reading of an ordinance amending alcoholic beverages.
Ordinance number 16-23, ordinance amending Chapter 4 alcoholic beverages. An ordinance amending Chapter 4 alcoholic beverages, Article 2 licenses, Section 4-40 conditions of license granted of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson.
Thank you. And before we get a motion to approve, I just wanted to point out we've got a number of things on here as it pertains to pari-mutuel gaming facilities. There has been recent updates in some state laws regarding these specific facilities that have caused them to be legal in nature in Kentucky. And we update our ordinances from time to time to reflect changes in state laws, and so that's what we're going through and doing today. Do we have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any questions, comments, or suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Whitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Bowles,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor State.
Aye. Next up, we have an ordinance to amend Chapter 16 on offenses.
Ordinance number 17-23, ordinance amending Chapter 16 offenses. An ordinance amending Chapter 16 offenses, Article 4, smoking in public places and places of employment, Section 16-56, where smoking not regulated of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson.
Do we have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second. Do we have any comments, questions, or suggestions? one thing I'd like to point out before we do a roll call on this particular one and on the alcoholic beverages one, like I said, we're updating for state laws. We're also not making any changes other than just adding in language that makes them a part of our ordinances. So what we're asking of our general public has not changed and will not be changing as a result of these ordinances. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Witt,
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor State.
Aye. Next up, we have a zoning ordinance amendment for distilleries.
Ordinance number 18-23. Ordinance amending Appendix A zoning. Ordinance amending Article 2 definitions, Section 2.01 definitions, and Article 20 CBD Central Business District, Section 20.03 conditional uses of Appendix A zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson to define and permit distilleries as a conditional use in the Central Business District.
Do we have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any comments, questions, suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Witt,
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor State.
Aye. Next up, we have a municipal order approving the sale and purchase contract with Henderson Distilling Company, LLC.
Municipal order number 38-23, municipal order approving sales and purchase contract between the City of Henderson, Kentucky and Henderson Distilling Company, LLC for the purchase of real property at 0 Water Street, PVA 1-8-3-4, 422 Water Street, PVA 1-8-3-5, 114th 5th Street, PVA 1-8-3-7, 405 North Main Street, PVA 1-8-3-3, and 415 North Main Street, PVA 1-8-3-9, for the sum of $500,000 in cash and right of first refusal to purchase 105th Street, PVA 1-8-3-6, and authorizing mayor to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city.
Before I get a motion, this also goes back to something we've discussed in the past. I think in the fall time of last year, we came to an agreement in principle, and now it's coming before us just in the matter of procedure. Do we have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions, or suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Witt,
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor State.
Aye. Next up, we have a municipal order awarding a bid to purchase of 2 full-size half-ton pickup trucks.
Municipal order number 39-23, municipal order awarding bid for purchase of 2 2023 GMC Sierra 1500 crew cab pickup trucks for the fire department to Henderson Chevrolet GMC of Henderson, Kentucky, in the amount of $98,965.
We have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, just wanted to point out that this is going local, and I'm sure Commissioner Pruitt's really
I was gonna
excited
say
about
it.
that.
I was getting ready to say
That's
it.
right.
So excited
Yes,
when
sir.
we buy local.
Do we have any comments, questions, suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Witt,
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor State.
Aye. City manager's report.
Have several items. The first, we'll talk about 4 different rezonings. As y'all are aware, they go before the planning commission, and then we have to allow a 21-day period in which any aggrieved party can come before this board and request consideration on the rezoning. I will say the first one, which is on Reddick Road, has to deal with a commercial development, one of which units will be occupied by Jimmy John's franchise. The other one is yet to be determined. The second item on Green River Road is dealing with Lighthouse rental storage units. They are providing a rear access to Green River Road and adding additional storage unit as part of that project. The next item is Old Madisonville Road. It's the Huey Sanford Training Center. It has come before the Planning Commission and has worked with our staff in bringing forward a training facility / residential living that fits into their model. And they will be working with some federal funds and tax credit type situation, like the Warm Center and other housing developments that we have here. So that's on Old Madisonville Road. To be noted, the property in question used to belong to the city. We swapped property with the current property owner when we built out the former Hugh Edwards Sanford Training Center into our new municipal service center. And then the last item is on Highway 351. The UK Extension Service is rezoning a 3-acre tract that is located directly behind their current facility back to agricultural, that will allow them to expand their service and services that they provide to our community. So with that being said, if you have any questions about any of the rezonings, feel free to contact myself and/or Brian Bishop at the Planning Commission.
Do you need us to take any kind of formal action on this today?
No, sir, it's informational only. Before I bring Dylan to the podium, each of us received a letter from Webster County Judge Executive Steve Henry. And I won't read the entire letter, but I would ask that Chief Dixon and Major Rolinga please come to the podium. And basically what happened, and this was newsworthy, that there were 2 women that went missing several weeks ago. And I got a phone call from Chief Dixon requesting that we send our dive team to Webster County to help search for the missing 2 women. And basically, they were very instrumental in bringing closure for the families and being able to help locate the car that was submerged in the Green River. The point I'm getting to is this commission has for years supported our dive team, which consists not only of the fire department, but also police officers. So today, I just would like to spell out and be specific as to who those divers were and the efforts that they made. From the fire department, it's John Pace, Matt Anderson, Jeff Yeckering, and from the police department, it was Bill Russell. And Travis Denton, as well as Brandon Lingerfeld, Corey Agnew, and Chris Watson. So, gentlemen, again, was stated earlier with Dr. Lawson, we work with our other communities to help them in a time of need. And bringing closure for that family was very important. And I don't think without our dive team and with the assistance of a local company that works with our dive team, I'm not sure how possible that would have been in a timely fashion. So guys, we know you come before us and make special requests, but I think it's very appropriate this time for y'all to extend our thanks for the jobs they do and to help other communities that are in need. So.
Thank you for the acknowledgement. It was our privilege to help not only our community, but the communities that call for our need, and you allowing us to do that. I mean, our dive team, they put in so much time and effort, training, their professionalism, dedication, and if it wasn't for them going and doing that, like again, bringing closure to that family of some form, that speaks volumes.
And pretty much like he said and like we heard all day, I'm glad we were able to work together. Obviously for the police department, it's not the easiest right now to find the manpower for it, but unfortunately we've had a lot of stuff happen with it, with different waterways lately, and I'm glad we were able to help the family out.
Well, we know that these individuals get called in if they're not on duty, they work the overtime. But it's not about that, it's about helping. And again, it's that community spirit, not only in Webster, we've been to other counties, we've been to Davis County, far south is Hopkinsville, far west is, I think, maybe, I can't think of where, not Lyon County, but we've gone far west with our dive team to help folks. And y'all's reputation on this end of the state is very well known, as well as in southern Indiana.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all so much.
Thank y'all.
We very much
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
Thank you.
With that being said, Dylan, do you mind to come to the podium? But we're at the 6-month, or a little bit past the 6-month mark from our January meeting that we held at the UK Extension Service. So I've asked Dylan to provide an update of some of the projects that y'all discussed and ranked as far as importance. And so Dylan will be providing a short overview of that.
Yeah, so as Buzzy said, this sheet should look a little familiar because we've been over it, I believe, in January. And so I'm just going to run through this really quick. There's a lot of projects on here. There's about 20. I'm just going to hit the 10,000-foot view on each of them. But if at any point I'm on one and you want to stop and ask questions, clarification, or at the end, if you want to ask then, there'll be time for that as well. So I'm just going to go through these, give you a real quick update, and kind of let you know where we stand with each one. So number 1 on the list, sports complex. So as you all know, we are currently under construction in that project. We've currently got about a $10.5 million contract awarded. We're in the construction phase, but then under that 10.5, I have, approximately $4.5 million in parentheses. That's basically, as y'all know, we've come back a couple times and talked about some of these potential add-ons. We are getting pretty close to finalizing some of those numbers, and so hopefully in the next month or two, we should be able to come back and actually make some official action on those items and what to add or not. The next big project we have is fire station number 1 replacement. Right now, we're assigning, due to inflation and just the current market, and I will say that some of these numbers are highly accurate. Some of them are just projections or estimates, but they're numbers that Buzzy and Robert and I have talked about. But with the fire station right now, we're projecting about a $9 million cost for that. Design is going to be about $500,000, which is what the phase we're currently in. However, we hope to get that bid, early next year, so that maybe we can have an early construction start date next year with the available funding. So, in construction, we're looking at about $8.5 million as we currently stand. Next project is Wathen Lane widening. That's another one that is on the move. The city's share of that, since there is some grant money involved, some federal money involved, our share is 20%, which is roughly about $1.1 million right now. Currently, we are waiting for the final set of plans and specifications to put those out to bid. We are expecting that should be bid by October of this year. And so currently, the gas department, they're doing some utility work. They're doing that in the utility phase. The rest of the utilities will be moved and adjusted and handled during the construction phase. So hopefully we'll start to see some work on that by the end of this calendar year and get that project underway. I know that one's been kind of a long time coming. The next project is Greenville Road sidewalks. That's another one of those that has grant money tied to it. Right now, we have money for the right-of-way phase, which our share, once again, is 20%, looking at about $76,000. The biggest issue we're running onto this project, and I think we've kind of been here for a little while, is we have a couple property owners who are struggling to negotiate right-of-way with. So that project is kind of in a holding pattern right now. The next big project that we've been working on for several years with the water utility is Country View Drainage. There is current funding. We are about 75% complete with that project to date. We have, depending on how you break it up, another 2 to 3 phases remaining. The city's portion, it'll be about $400,000 of that. It's about 50%, and the water utility will have about the same amount to go into it as well. And so I believe there is they have a RFQ right now out for the design of the final 3 phases. So there is progress being made on that project as well. And we've also already seen great results in what has been done so far in the areas. So, and the city's partnering and coming behind and paving those roads as they are complete. So that's another thing I wanted to mention. So the indoor facility, so this is at the new sports complex. We have left a large area that would basically be big enough to house an indoor sports facility that is similar to the one in Greenville, Kentucky. I don't know if you all have ever been down there or not, but it is a very large facility. It's basically 2 high school basketball courts turned end to end. So turned sideways, you would actually have 4 basketball courts. I think they're technically junior high size, but they're still, for the purpose of what we need, it would be plenty sufficient. And basically, we did that just to leave enough space to build whatever we might want in that space. Right now, we're projecting that the cost in today's dollars will be about $7 million. And as you all can see, we've not currently committed any funding to that. We don't have any grants or bond money for that, but we are in the design process, and that project, could receive funding depending on, how all these projects rank. And then,
Can I stop you before?
yes.
On that particular project, if you don't mind to make a note, before we get too far with finalizing any kind of design on it, can you make a point to, next time we have a work session, to bring that to us so
Yep.
that we could take a look and be a part on the front end of that as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I probably should clarify. So we actually quite a while back awarded a design contract to Tim Skinner. And so all we've really done at this point, we actually haven't even started even the preliminary design. We actually just met a couple weeks ago, so we can certainly come back, and there's still plenty of time to make any sort of adjustments. So that's a good point.
Thank you.
Buzzy and I will talk about when the best time is to do that. So, and then listed below that, while we're on the sports complex, I have kind of generically listed sports complex future phases. So basically, as you all are aware, we created a master plan for that site, and the master plan included basically 8 ball diamonds, 3 multi-purpose fields, and the miscellaneous supporting structures, as well as 1 large baseball field. And so we're projecting that anywhere between 10 to 12 million would finish out the 4 additional baseball fields, or 4 baseball fields plus 1 larger baseball field, the associated parking, concessions, and amenities. That number could fluctuate, obviously, depending on when it's built and if the master plan is adjusted. But we're kind of basing that pricing based off of what we've already built out there right now, or what we're in the process of building. The good thing is on that project, similar to the construction phase we're now at the sports complex, there is a potential for grant money there. There's a lot of grant opportunities there. And as you all approved a grant writer in this budget, I have the intention of letting that person go after some of those grants. And I've already got a list of some of those actually that might apply to our project. The next one is the Henderson Technology and Industry Plaza. This is basically Borax Drive. That project right now, we completed the road. It's been probably 2 years ago now, but basically we extended, I believe, a 500-foot stub road into that property to help with the marketing of it and to help attract entities to potentially locate there. Boat Dock is the next project. That project is currently placed on hold. You can see the cost there. When we did this a few years ago, it was about $4 million. However, there was the potential for a large grant opportunity. But that is always a project. We did some preliminary design on that to figure out, what it might look like, where it might go, and how much it might cost. But since then, that project is really one of the few on this list that is currently more or less just on hold. Housing needs. So Barrett Boulevard, if you all have been out there recently, then you know that we have completed our road extension into the future housing development that's going out there. Our portion of that was about $1 million. And we are under the impression that site development will begin this fall. So that'll be a much needed thing for our community that we're excited to continue to watch develop. The next item is the Henderson Police Department training facility. That project is completed. As you all know, we have a monthly lease right now at the old Jefferson School. So thank you to once again, another example of how we have partnered with the county school system, and has been a great asset, I believe, to our own department and others as well. Let's see, the next one that we have spent quite a bit of time on here recently and talking about, the inner city revitalization plan. As you all know, there is current funding for that. We've committed to, I believe, $300,000 over the next 4 years, budgeted annually. And as you all know, I know all of you all have participated in the committees, but we hope to actually begin implementing some of those projects in the spring of next year. And then we're going to have the presentations this fall where we start narrowing down which projects we're going to look at for this upcoming year. The next one is kind of generic, but just new sidewalks. So starting either in last year's budget or the budget before that, we started increasing our concrete. We have just a general pot of money that we use for concrete, street, and sidewalk repairs. We started increasing that by $100,000 each year to start addressing some of these new sidewalks that are missing throughout town. And so that's what that money is there for. And we've listed just a few there. There are a lot more. There are a lot others that we have been made aware of. And actually, I'm on the infrastructure committee for the intercity revitalization, and we had them through some work and some surveys for the Ogden Kids Zone. They provided us with a couple of their most needed sidewalks to kind of connect where the gaps were. So, and that's a list that we hope to expand with time, but that's what that $100,000 there will go towards, are those kind of projects. The next up is vision plan. As you all know, that's an ongoing thing. We budget roughly $50,000 annually. There is a list of projects that we reviewed recently. I forgot what month it was, but it's been in the last couple months where we had our last vision meeting. And so currently, two of the big items that are kind of in progress on that is the hotel feasibility study is underway, and then an I-69 development plan are also in progress. And that, what I'll say about that is basically just to try and what we can do to maybe spur development as I-69 comes through. The next item is the downtown farmers market. We've got the projected cost around $50,000. And right now, I believe that is an action item for the Chamber of Commerce, and that I have noted there that recent surveys have indicated that there is a community interest. So that project, like I said, we just don't want it to fall off. We've got it listed there so that we keep it in mind. Additional employee holiday. This is another one of those projects that has been completed. As you all are aware, you all were gracious enough, and we added 2 holidays, I believe, starting last year with Juneteenth and Veterans Day. So that one has been completed. The next one on the list is a similar story, Pratt enhancements. That really entails a lot of things, a lot of different values there, but on the right side of your sheet, you can see we have several different projects that were included there, and for the most part, they were all complete or very nearly complete. We had the gas line that we had to extend, we had the Highway 425 turn lanes, multiple water, sewer, and water projects, and we also had the gas meter station upgrade at the Texas Gas facility, which I believe was just recently completed. The next project is the new park shelter. So this project, we have budgeted $495,000, so just under $500,000 in the current budget. This is a project that is separate from the indoor facility. I believe this is the project, Buzzy, where we had a couple $100,000 set aside from once upon a time to go for a shelter in Newman Park. And so we're still kind of in the conceptual design phase of that, looking at what would be beneficial there, what that looks like exactly, but there is money in this budget to pursue that. The next project on the list, something we've also been talking about for a while, is Fire Station number 2 replacement. There's not currently the funding budgeted for that. We're anticipating that project will probably be about $4 million, and just look, all of these dates are kind of subject to change, but just looking at our bonding capacity and some of the exercises that Robert and Buzzy have done, we could potentially be ready to start that project maybe in a couple years, maybe in the spring of 2026, depending on how some of the rest of these projects and the funding play out. Next thing is the riverfront development. So specifically, we're talking about here closer to the railroad bridge on the old Station 1 site. Right now, there is no current funding, and everything's kind of to be determined. There's not really been anything set in stone for that, but that's a very important, valuable piece of property that we're kind of just keeping in mind that could turn into something. I do have out to the side on status. I wanted to mention that we've had the chamber has come a couple times to talk about the new dog park downtown, and with Chastity's help, who's our engineering intern, they're making good progress on that. I believe at this point we're just waiting for I believe we've put in the order, they've put in the order for the fencing, and we're just waiting until that's in to meet with our concrete contractor, and then we should see movement on that, I would believe, this fall, pending any supply issues. The next one is the Audubon Park Convention Center. As you all are aware, that's a project that we're sort of pursuing. It's not in stone yet, but it is something very important that we want to make sure we keep in our scope and in our vision. Right now, we're projecting that if it were to go through, there would be a grant associated with it, and that the city share would be roughly $4 million. The next project, South Alves Street sidewalks. This is another one that's critically important for our inner city area, as well as the Jefferson School and the middle school right there. As you all are aware, it's been probably 2 or 3 years ago now, we extended the sidewalk to Sand Lane, but then had to stop because of the ditch, and then we also had the water project. And so that's a project that we've been working on picking back up with Tammy's help. Currently, the design is about 80% complete, and we are hoping to make a fall bid deadline. We're just currently delayed due to the pump station project that's in the area. So hopefully that project will be underway and completed soon. And then the final one on this list is the Hempel campus. So as you all know, I've got the purchase information. The city share ends up being about $850,000 there. We do have the buy-sell agreement approved for the distillery, but the admin building status, what we plan to do with that, that's still to be determined. So in a nutshell, those are our major projects. Sorry, I went through those really quick, but if y'all have any questions or comments or concerns, I'm happy to address them now.
Any questions or comments or suggestions, concerns?
A lot of great progress made.
Yeah, got a lot of stuff done.
It will, yeah. The one comment that I will make is that you alluded to that this was a list that largely came out of that meeting that we had in January, where we had a visioning and goals meeting right at the beginning of the year. I think if you all are in agreement that it was a very successful meeting, and that I'd like to keep that on an annual basis and shoot for the next one to be in January as well. Are you all okay with having another one of those in January? Good? Okay. Good deal. Anything else on the city manager's report?
No, sir.
All right. We do have need for executive session, but before we go into executive session, I have 2 things I need to take care of. One is an appointment.
Dawn has a city.
Oh, hey, Dawn, I forgot she was on that screen up there. I am so sorry. Dawn Kelsey, our city attorney, our very good, educated, and effective city attorney, has a report on a zoning ordinance review. Dawn, take it away, please.
As you all know, when we make a change to the zoning ordinance, like we did today with our first read, we have to first send that over to the Planning Commission for a public hearing. As Mayor Staten explained, there was a change with House Bill 561 this year, which legalized sports wagering in Kentucky. And we currently, in our zoning ordinance, do not have anything that would cover any type of sports wagering, which is now legalized. Therefore, we need to update our zoning ordinance with a definition for a gaming facility. And then we recommended that gaming facility would only be a judicial use in highway commercial. In your packet, you have the proposed definition, which just says gaming facility means any facility which is licensed by the state of Kentucky to conduct simulcasting, parimutuel wagering, and/or sports wagering as provided and permitted under Chapter 230 of the Kentucky Revised Statute. So Mayor Staten, we need action on that, if we can get that sent to the Planning Commission for their September meeting.
Before we entertain a motion, does anybody have any questions? I think the crux of what Don was saying is what we would be sending down to the Planning Commission is if we were going to allow this type of facility in Henderson, that we would be recommending that it is restricted to highway commercial zones. Is that accurate?
Yes, and it would be a conditional use, so
And-
it would still have to go before Board of Zoning Adjustment to ensure that appropriate conditions are placed on that.
Gotcha. Does anybody have any questions for Dawn before we do entertain a motion?
Makes sense, yeah.
So then we need a motion to send that down to the Planning Commission for further review.
So moved.
We got a motion, we have a second. Second, Commissioner Pruitt. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Whip?
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. Can I do my appointment? All right. So we have one appointment on the schedule for today. Housing Authority, the current chair, Navy Priest, is going to be up in September to renew. I've talked to some people from the Housing Authority Committee Board, and I've talked to Navy Priest. He does want to continue his service. I've also been to several Housing Authority meetings, and can say that I do believe that he does an effective job and cares very deeply about what he does. And so I'd like to submit his name for reappointment. If I could get a motion for that to happen.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Whitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor State.
Aye. We do have need for executive session, but before we do, I want to go ahead and take care of the commissioners' comments, please. Commissioner Pruitt, anything for
Yeah,
today?
real quick, I just want to thank our city manager, because I called him probably 3 or 4 times during the Dust Bowl, and for him reacting with a whole lot of different requests that they needed. I just want to thank you for being speedy on doing all of that. I really thank you.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Whitt.
Just pleased to see the collaboration, I guess, with the school system, the county, and the city, and hopefully excited to see where that hopefully goes, and hopefully addresses a lot of, I think, long-term issues that perhaps we would have with our school, but our heart system as we continue to expand as a city, and hopefully for the school system as well, to be able to reevaluate that and come up with solutions for the future.
Commissioner Vowles.
I'll echo Commissioner Wood and Commissioner Pruitt's comments. Did a really good job getting down to the issue really quickly and finding a quick solution for us. And commend you and Superintendent for working together to get that done. Thank you.
Commissioner Thomas.
Piggyback on all three commissioners. It's just another example of what we all can do when we decide to work together, which we all do, and we all do it very well.
And all I can say is that you all have already said it. You know, we have fantastic people working for us. It's not going to go back to the way that it was, but it's going to be better than what we would have had otherwise, and look forward to seeing where that partnership is going to go into the future. We do have need for executive session. Once we make the motion, if I could ask everyone who is not going to be a part of that executive session to please clear this room. Commissioner Thomas.
I move that the commission go into executive session for the purpose of economic development and the expansion and upgrading of a business in Henderson pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1, subsection G.
Do we have a second? Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Whitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Vowles.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor State.
Aye. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.